Harry's wife. Why do they need to show their love off? With Harry and Harry's wife, it has been said that it was like dealing with a couple of teenagers. And of course, that description applies to various aspects of their behaviour. But in this video, I'm focusing on the fact that they invariably have to tell the world just how much in love they are. The recent Shitflix series, which was, of course, them telling their love story, permission granted to Bath, that wanting to demonstrate to the world how much in love they are. The pictures of them kissing and canoodling. And of course we see the frequent grabbing with the grip of doom by Harry's wife, as she asserts control over Harry through physical means. They, of course, see this pathetic hand-holding as a manifestation of their deep and entrenched love for one another. You, as a consequence of my work and interpretation of that body language seen through the prism of narcissism, the true way of interpreting it, no different. But what is it behind Harry and Harry's wife that results in them having to demonstrate to the world, look at us, we're so in love, look at us, we're like two horny rabbits, we can't stop being around one another, believe us, we're humping like buggery and behind closed doors. Look at us, we're utterly infatuated and in love with one another. By all means, if two people love one another, then they can show it to one another. But do so privately. Do so discreetly, for those are the acts of genuine, for I have seen and learned and observed that those are the acts of genuine love born of emotional empathy. There is no doubt that Harry loves Harry's wife. He does. That's why he remains ensnared, driven by the corruption of his love devotee trait, by his own emotional thinking that causes him to believe that this is the love of his life, that he still doesn't realize that he's sleeping with the enemy, although perhaps less often than he once did, given that he's in the sustained devaluation. Harry has to make a display of their love, talking about it, engaging in the public displays of affection on a repeated basis, which are quite sickening for a 38-year-old and a 41-year-old, because he is driven to believe that he ought to do so for fear of retribution. The fact is that if he doesn't give her a good morning kiss when one is required, that he doesn't allow her to grab his hand in public, or slip an arm around him, place an arm upon his back, lean into him at the end of some kind of say video in relation to Elton John. If all of those things are not done and he doesn't show the requisite level of affection and love towards her, then he will be devalued. Don't you love me anymore, Harold? Spare bedroom for you. An icy, cold silence, because his failure to demonstrate a manifestation of love towards her, be it in public or in private, of course, amounts to a threat to control. Her narcissism immediately goes, red alert, incoming threat, and therefore causes her to feel fury, contempt, disdain, and causes her to think in a particular way. He doesn't love me anymore. He's off with somebody else. He's making eyes at that maid. He's giving that waitress the up and down, the horny little beast. And that then causes her to be motivated to lash out as against him, to nullify the threat to control that has been posed by his failure to be suitably loving. And therefore, conditioned in this way, fearful of getting a cold shoulder or a tongue lashing, Harold has been conditioned to ensure that he demonstrates the appearances of love, his genuine love, but that he must show it repeatedly, both privately and publicly. And thus that's why he, although he doesn't realize it, feels the need to show that love off. There'll also be an aspect of wanting the world to see that he's happy, because there is a part of his narcissistic trait of resentment which causes him to believe that his family didn't treat him particularly well, something that he's been brainwashed into believing by his captor. And therefore, as part of the subtle fuck you to everybody else, he wants the world to know that we are happy. See? With Harry's wife, her need for the world to see that they are in love is all part of the maintenance of a facade towards the world and a means of triangulation to control Harry. The fact is, there is no genuine love. Because, although she thinks that she loves him, she does not, because as a narcissist, she has no emotional empathy, and therefore is incapable of actual love. Indeed, her various devaluing and abusive behaviours demonstrate that she is not somebody that loves, because you do not abuse somebody if you actually love them. Accordingly, she devalues him because that's the phase that he's in as a consequence of being the primary victim of a narcissist. But she maintains the appearance of love because that's what her narcissism dictates must be done. And she'll give him dollops of the love once again as part of the respite period, but also as part of needing to demonstrate to the rest of the world that they are in love. It is the relationship bulletin of the narcissist. People often say, if somebody has to go around telling the world how much they love somebody else, you really do have to query whether they do. And that's a sound observation, because invariably the individuals that go around going on and on and on about how fantastic their relationship is, how much they love this other person, how amazing and wonderful it is, are often narcissists. Remember, just because somebody engages in that behavior, you can't say for certain, just based on that one behavior, that they are a narcissist. But it's certainly a strong indicator. And you will find amongst narcissists that when it comes to their relationships, not all, but many engage in this relationship bulletin activity, whereby they have to basically show the world that they are in love. Sometimes people think it's basically because they need to convince themselves. That is incorrect. The narcissist is utterly convinced, where they're an unaware narcissist, that they love this person because the narcissism makes it so. What they're seeking to do is persuade everybody else, because that's part of the facade that's managed. It's part of the way of controlling other people. It's part of the way to get fuel from other people. And it might be a way of getting to character traits and residual benefits also. With Harry's wife, she also has to demonstrate this mentality of saying to the world, see how much we're in love. Because it's a means of controlling Harry to say, don't worry about all of those haters and racists and misogynists and unpleasant people out there, my little ginger poodle. We are in love, are we not? And they are just envious of the fact that we have this perfect love. He, of course, loving her, then feels loved in return, although, of course, many of her behaviours would not fit with what love actually is. But when she tells him all of this, he readily buys into the shared fantasy, their awful shared fantasy, as I've explained elsewhere. Accordingly, by showing the world that she loves him, or at least she believes that she does, this is a means of managing the facade, drawing fuel from people and controlling them. It also enables her to control Harry, because he's made to feel loved, and it also causes his buy-in to this mentality of, we stand shoulder to shoulder, Harry, against the world. There are people who are our detractors, but this just makes us stronger together, doesn't it, Harry? Oh, yeah, absolutely, my little pumpkin. I completely agree. And therefore, he is bound tighter under her grip, and also it then enables her to, in effect, cock a snook through devaluing behaviours to those of who are detractors to say, you can say what you like about my marriage, but you're not going to come between me and my husband. And accordingly, these are the reasons why Harry's wife needs to ensure that the world believes that they are in love, that the necessity of providing that view to the rest of the world serves those purposes in conjunction with the prime aims. It also explains why Harry goes along with this, goes along with the mentality and charade of engaging in these repeated, quite pathetic and nauseating activity to say, look at us, we are very much in love. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.